Hi, this is Miss Cairo here. This is math lesson 8-4. We're going to be converting using customary lengths. These are the lengths that we use in America. And you're going to need a few materials out. You're going to have your book open to page 273, your math activity book. You are going to open up your reference packet to page 3, and the heading on that is converting customary length. So go ahead and find that. You'll see a picture of a bat, a paper clip, a ruler, and a picture of a road. Also have your learning log ready. We're especially going to be referring back to this picture quite a bit and asking yourselves larger to smaller unit or smaller to larger unit. And on this converting customary length reference sheet, you will see that we use inches, feet, yards, and miles to measure certain distances and certain lengths. And we're going to be using equations, of course, to go along with this in order to convert and go from one unit of length to another. So before we get into that, these pictures on the side, what they do is why they're there is, again, to have your mind be thinking of objects we're all familiar with and about the length of them. So when you think of 1 inch, think of about the length of a paper clip. 1 foot, think about the length of a ruler. 1 yard, think about the length of a baseball bat. And then a mile, think about the length of a long stretch of road from Spruce Elementary School to Orange Park is about 1 mile. So think about if you've ever walked from school to Orange Park or driven that distance, that's about 1 mile long. And here are the equations that go along with our converting. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. There are 12 inches in 1 foot. So if we laid out 12 paper clips and lined them all up, it would be about the same length as 1 ruler. 1 yard, and here's 2 equal signs in this one. So it says 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, which is also equal to 36 inches. I know we're not used to seeing equations, not even equations, but, a setup with 2 equal signs. What that means is we could take things out and kind of switch things around. 1 yard is equal to 36 inches, 3 feet is equal to 36 inches, and so on. So for example, 1 yard is about the length of a baseball bat. There's 3 feet in 1 yard. So if we lined up 3 rulers, it would be about the length of a baseball bat. And in 1 yard, there's 36 inches. So if we were to line up 36 paper clips, it would be about the length of a baseball bat. And then finally, 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards and 5,280 feet. So really think about that. If we were to start at Spruce Elementary School and use rulers lined up one after another all the way to Orange Park, that would mean we would need 5,280 rulers. If we were to start at Spruce Elementary School and measure yards, we could take baseball bats and we would need 1,760 baseball bats lined one after another to get from school to the park. Okay, let's use these conversions with some of these problems. Again, this is from page 273. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do this directly in your book so that you can use these equations as examples for you for future problems. Let's take a look at number 2. On this page, 24 feet is equal to blank yards. The first thing that we're gonna ask ourselves is, just like we did in metric unit, our units is, are we going from a smaller unit to a larger unit or a larger unit to a smaller unit? In other words, for this case, is 1 foot smaller or larger than 1 yard? A foot is smaller than 1 yard. So we are going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. Feet, oh my goodness, to yards. We are going to divide here. So we're going to take that number that we're starting with, 24, and we're using division now. And what are we dividing by? Well, we're going to have to go over here. We're going to have to find where is feet in these equal signs and where is yards. In other words, how many feet are in 1 yard? Can you find it on the sheet? There are 3 feet in 1 yard. So in order to figure out how many 24 feet are in how many yards, we're going to divide by 3. 24 divided by 3. Go ahead and do it. Remember, think of our triangle here. 3 times what equals 24? And what is it, boys and girls? It is 8. There are 8 yards and 24 feet. Okay, is that in your book? Great. Let's go ahead and let's skip over to number 4. We have blank feet equals 1.5 yards. This is set up a little differently, especially from what we were doing when we were working with metric units. They switched up the order. Normally, they always gave us what we're starting with on this side of the equation and then equals a blank. I don't like how they set that up. That gets a little confusing sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite it underneath it and just switch the order. That doesn't change the problem at all, but that gives us a better visual of what we're starting with and what we're ending up with. So we have 1.5 yards equals blank feet. I see a mixed number here, so that might be a little bit of a review. We're going to go over to our customary length reference sheet. How many feet are in a yard? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Before we even get to that, let's set up an equation here and decide if we're multiplying and dividing, and then we'll get into what are we multiplying or dividing by. Sorry about that. So let's rewrite it out. Let's take this number 1.5. We're going from yards to feet here. So I'm asking myself, is a yard a larger unit or a smaller unit compared to what we're going to, which is feet? Is 1 yard larger or smaller than 1 foot? Well, a baseball bat compared to a ruler, a baseball bat is longer than a ruler. We are going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So that means we are using what operation? We're multiplying. So we're doing 1.5 times, and now we figure out what are we multiplying by. And we actually used this for the last problem. We went from feet to yards in this one. We're going from yards to feet in this one. We're going to use the same equation here. 1 yard equals 3 feet. We're going to be taking this 3 feet. If there's 3 feet in 1 yard, we're going to multiply 1.5 times 3 to figure out how many feet are in 1.5 yards. This is review now. We have 1.5 times 3 as our multiplication sentence, and then to solve, we have a mixed number times a whole number. How do we solve a mixed number times a whole number? We're going to have to turn them both into fractions. 1.5 times 3. Let's put them into fraction form. What's the numerator and denominator for each of these 2 fractions then? Go ahead and try it. Go ahead and pause if you need to. 1.5 to put it into fraction form. Do you remember this? Denominator times whole number plus numerator, and denominator stays the same. Remember? Good. And then we get 3 halves. 1.5 is equal to 3 halves. And how do we turn the whole number 3 into a fraction? Well, 3 stays as our numerator, and then what becomes our denominator? 1. And now we have 3.5 times 3 ones, and we can easily solve that. We can't simplify here, so we're going to multiply across. Go ahead and do it. And we should get 9 halves. That is our answer, but what's wrong with it? It's technically right, but it's not in proper form. It's an improper fraction, so we're going to change it into a mixed number. How do we change 9 halves into a mixed number? We are going to divide. We're going to take our denominator. That's going to be our divisor. Our numerator is 9. That's our dividend. 2 goes into 9 4 times. You know how to do this. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. There's nothing else to bring down. That's our remainder. I'm not going to put 4 remainder 1 feet. That would never happen in real life. We don't have remainders in measurement in real life. We could do a few things here. We could turn it into a decimal, or we could keep it in fraction form. That's what we have over here. So let's keep it in fraction form. Our remainder is going to become our numerator. Our divisor is going to be our denominator. And now we have our answer of 4.5. 4.5 is equal to 9.5. That's in better form now. And we have arrived at our answer. 4.5 feet is equal to 1.5 yards. Great. Thanks so much for following along. Please follow the same setup and get some practice in with your teacher and then on your own.